everybody. Welcome back to the Royal Read. I am so glad you decided to stop by and see what I'm reading on. But before we get started, you know what I'm going to say. Go right down here, go in your settings and find your subscribe button and think about subscribing. No, don't think about it. Don't think about it. Just do it. Go down here and subscribe. And while you're in there, hit your notification bell so you'll know when I upload or when I just want to pop in. And give me a thumbs up to fight my nemesis, that beast. I'm telling you, this past week, it has been mm, mm, shaking me around. I'm telling you, I appreciate your help with that. Also, right about here, that's our join button. That's for channel memberships. And if you choose to become a channel member and a part of our reading club, you are going to support my little channel in growing, improving, and continuing. And I just be so grateful, so very grateful for that support. I cannot tell you how much. Also, I have a shout out to Deborah Copeland. She left me a super thanks, and I am so thankful for her. She is such a great and faithful supporter of my channel, and I can't tell her enough how much she is appreciated. So, thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much. And if you want to donate to the channel, all you would have to go do is to go over here. The super thanks button is over here somewhere. And anything that you choose to donate to this channel is always, I'm telling you, always greatly appreciated. All right, with all that said, let's get to the read, y'all. Let's get to the read. Of course, when I was putting the read together today, I was up and down these internet streets. I'm telling you. Now, I was not all over the place because I did not go over to the dark side. Y'all know how I am. I have to be in the right frame of mind to go over there with them nuts, those imbeciles, those flying monkeys, those minions, those knuckleheads, those hags, and Nana over there transitioning. I really have to be in the right mind to do that. So I was not in the right mind for that. So I did not go over there. I did not really listen to any panels, but I do have some sound bites for y'all that I am going to play and that I found on X, formerly known as Twitter. And I was over to Instagram. Instagram is all over the place. People are just talking about all kinds of stuff. Now, it is one thing that people are dragging Kate about, and we're going to talk about that. But other than that, they're still talking about, how Megan said that she was the most bullied person in the world, and how the hags, the toadies, the trolls, the flying monkeys are all so offended by her saying it out loud. What could Because we all know abusers, they love for you to keep your mouth shut so they can continue to abuse you. They don't like exposure. That's why I said in an earlier podcast that I love it every time Megan opens her mouth and says it, because it puts them on notice and it brings the spotlight over to them. And I love it. I just think she should say it more. But they want to deny it, they want to gaslight us. And so that's pretty much what's going on, especially on X. X is, formerly known as Twitter. The squatters over there are just calling them out for what they are, and they're a bunch of lying. I ain't gonna say the rest of it because I have to remember that I'm on YouTube. But they are liars. They are liars and gaslighters trying to gaslight us into believing, oh no, nobody ever bullied Megan. Nobody ever did. All of this is just a figment of our imagination. Well, it's hard to imagine when you have receipts to prove it. And I'm going to post this. This is one of the receipts that one of the squatters decided to pull out of their pocketbooks. And y'all can tell I'm an old school person because that's what my grandmother used to call her purse. She used to say her pocketbook. So I always say pocketbook because when I'm serious about something, I'll say, I'm going to get my pocketbook and leave. So, because that's what my grandmother used to do. When she used to get mad with you, she would get her pocketbook and leave. So, that's where I keep all my receipts in my pocketbook. So, one of the squatties went to her pocketbook and they pulled out this receipt, and we're going to go through it. Now, it says, Meghan Markle, I am one of the most bullied people in the world. The British media screams. We never bullied you. Gaslight, gaslight alert. And all the women members of parliament, the British media are dirty liars. Y'all remember that? When I think it was like 72 members of parliament, women of parliament, wrote this letter saying stop it to the British media. Stop your nonsense. We see what you're doing. You're trying to destroy and tear this woman down for no reason because she has done nothing. And that family, Harry's family, stood silent and mute as they watched them consistently and to just tearing Meghan apart like rabid dogs. So we're going to read this letter that they wrote because I just want to refresh everybody's memory that can you imagine the level of abuse that is being printed in national newspapers that Parliament would respond to what was going on? And it just, to me, it just highlighted that family. And it sent a green light for everybody who wanted to line up to abuse Meghan, that they were free to do so because the royal family was not going to stop them or say a word. After this, they did not say a word. But let's get into it. It said Holly Lynch, and it said women MPs from all political parties have put aside our differences to stand in solidarity with the Duchess of Sussex today and and are sending her this open letter. And we're going to read it. It says, Dear Madam, as women MPs of all political persuasions, we want to express our solidarity with you in taking a stand against the often distasteful and misleading nature of the stories printed in a number of our national newspapers concerning you, your character, and your family. Now, why this letter couldn't come from Buckingham Palace or Kensington Palace, but we all know why it couldn't come from Buckingham Palace or Kensington Palace. It's because of they were in cahoots with these people. They were the people who was feeding these stories to these wolves. They were relishing that Meghan was being torn apart because they felt like if they could lessen her light, their light would seem somehow brighter. And they basically wanted to run her off and let Harry be by himself. That is why it got so intense when she was pregnant with Archie. They wanted her to lose that baby. That was their intent. These are some devious, devious people. They are. Let's go on. It said, on occasions, stories and headlines have represented an invasion of your privacy and have sought to cast aspersions about your character without any good reason as far as we can see. Now, Parliament, the government, said that Meghan wasn't doing anything. She was just existing, she was just breathing. And so all these stories being written to disparage her character without good reason. And when this was written, Meghan was pregnant. She was on maternity leave. And Meghan worked up until the minute, just about to the minute, until it was time for her to deliver Archie. Megan did everything she could do. Megan took went on a tour, went on an international trip to Morocco while she was heavily pregnant. That other one, the one that can barely put three sentences together, she has never went anywhere when she was pregnant. Ever, ever. And she barely worked. She barely did any engagements. But Megan tried to do everything that she could, and they still did nothing but disparage her. Let's go on. Even more concerning still, we are calling out what can only be described as outdated colonial undertones to some of these stories. Racism. Racism. That's what they're saying. They wanted to say racism, but they wanted to be, diplomatic. What is colonial undertones? It's racism. And it says, as women members of parliament from all backgrounds, we stand with you in saying it without allowing it to go unchallenged. You can't let it go unchallenged. They let it go unchallenged. But at the time Harry was begging for help, little did he know the reason it wasn't going unchallenged is because they were the ones who was doing it. It was his family who was doing it. And that's when it started to become so clear that they were being fed to the wolves. That's why Harry and Meghan got out of town. And when they went to Canada, it was no way that they would ever return to that nonsense again. And what's his name? What is Boris Johnson talking about? He tried to talk Harry out of it. Harry did that engagement, put his backpack on his back and got on a plane and headed just as straight to Canada as he possibly could. And that is when they decided to really put the screws to him and pull their security. But little did they know, Megan had something in her pocketbook, and it was called Tyler Perry's phone number. But we won't get into that. Let's finish this. It says, although we find ourselves being women in public life, it's very difficult. There is very different ways from to you. We share an understanding of the abuse and intimidation which is now so often used as a means of disparaging women in public office from getting on with their very important work. Let me read that again because it sounds so wonderful to hear. It said, although we find ourselves being women in public life in a very different way to you, we share an understanding of the abuse and intimidation which is now so often used as a means of disparaging women in public office from getting on with their very important work. They was aware of the abuse and intimidation that they were perpetrating against this woman. But the royal family want to pretend like we don't see anything. They kind of like that those three monkeys. I see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. That is what they wanted to betray themselves. And while Megan is slowly descending into despair and wanting to unalive herself, which I believe was the goal in the first place. I'm just saying. And it says, with this in mind, accept the we expect the national media to have the integrity to know when a story is in the national interest. They have never done a story on Megan that was in the national interest, ever, because she had never done anything. that would be considered in the national interest, except her work, like with the Grenfell survivors and with Smart Works and I forgot the name of the dog charity she was working with, and so on. Her work, but see, they weren't interested in that. Only they was only interested in tearing her down because they could not disparage her work because her work was A plus plus. It was Megan was just grinding out one uh, success after another. So they couldn't disparage her on that, but they wanted to disparage her because she wore black nail polish, or she wore a one-armed dress, or she closed a car door, or some old nonsense like that. That's what they wanted to disparage her on, and then lie and say it was all against protocol. And then lie and said she made Kate cry and she wanted perfume in the chapel. And in actuality, that was Kate that wanted that in the chapel. It was stories written prior to her wedding where she wanted that because it smelled stuffy up in there. But of course, they want to project all that onto Megan. And then now they're talking about how she was horrible to the florist that did her flowers at her wedding, which was 6 years ago. But I digress. This is what they're saying, that they do that. It's not in the national interest. None of this nonsense is in the national interest. And it says, and when it seeks to tear a woman down for no apparent reason, you have our assurance that we stand with you in solidarity on this. We will use the means at our disposal to ensure that our press accepts your right to privacy and shows respect. That didn't happen. They evidently don't anybody over there have any control over that press except the royal family. Because we just read in that Tom Sykes article how much control that they do have over that news media over there, because they said that Charles would have to fall down dead right in front of them before they would write anything disparaging about him and this trip to Australia. And their concerns were the Australian press because they have no control. They don't have that level of control over the Australian press. So, evidently, like I said, the government has no control over the press, but the royal family does, and they chose to do nothing. And it says, to ensure the press accepts your right to privacy and shows respect, and that their stories reflects the truth. None of that happened because we know right now they're lying right now, talking about the reason that Harry and Meghan left that caused the breakdown of their relationships and the rift within the family was Australia, because Meghan said, and I did this yesterday in my podcast, saying Meghan didn't feel that they got enough credit for it. And we all know that one, because Meghan and Harry didn't do anything for credit. It was because of their level of punishment because of their success. What that family did to them because they were successful in Australia. We all know that. So they can miss me with all of this. The, we all know that the entity that really has control over the press is the royal family. It's not the government, because they said that they were going to use everything in their disposal to make sure that they accept their right to privacy and show respect, and that their stories reflects the truth, and none of that happened. None of it happened. I'm just saying, because the royal family didn't want it to happen. All right, let's go on. But wasn't that a great letter, y'all? That was great. But I'm sure that they did all they could do. I'm just saying, because it is only one entity that controls the press, and that's the royal family, Kensington Palace and Buckingham Palace. That's all I'm saying. All right, I'm gonna put this up. And this person wanted to come at one of the, and this person who is replying to this is not a squad. They are a truth teller. That's what the way I describe them. And they don't play with people. They don't play with them. Excuse me, I'm gonna move my camera a little bit. They do not play. Let me move my camera a little bit more. Sorry, y'all. I just wanted to get it positioned right. Okay. Okay. Let's get back to it. Uh, and so this person wrote and replied to her, and it says, "Why is Catherine in quotes?" So evidently they're replying to this person who had talked about Catherine and put her name Catherine in quotes and said that that's her actual name. And the stands do say terrible things about the Wales kids, saying that Harry and Meg stands. I think that's the way she describes herself. She doesn't describe herself as a squatty. To be a squatter, you have to be hardcore. And so I think she is more of a truth teller and a stand. She stands up for Harry and Meghan. And it says that, and the stands do say terrible things about the Welsh children after the Jubilee concert was one such time. I don't think we said horrible things about the Welsh kids after the uh, the um the Queen's Jubilee, Platinum Jubilee. I don't think we did. I think we said terrible things about Kate and her parenting skills, and that she is somehow trying to present herself as a early childhood expert, and her son is actively putting his finger in her face and putting his hand over her mouth and telling her to shut up. And we felt that, I don't think, she is being a real good example of early childhood. She's not using any of the skills because I don't think I don't think that your child would come out and behave like that. And Lewis was not the only one acting like that. Those Tyndall kids was acting crazy too. It was all those kids was so bad behaved. They were horribly behaving badly. And so, yeah, we talked about their behavior, but we did not talk about the kids. We talked about the parenting. We questioned the parenting of it. So this person is straight up lying because that's one thing we do not do. We don't talk about the kids. So this person came back at that person and said this. He said, "I am still waiting for you or any other royalist to point out even one article where Kate Middleton and her children were compared to animals." We ain't never did nothing like that. Like I said, at the Jubilee, we talked about their parenting skills. We talked about the adults. We did not speak on the kids. And it said, B, had their maternity or paternity questioned. We all know that happens. They either said that the Meghan's children are not Harry's, they're dolls, they're really one of somebody said that they borrowed Beatrice's son August and said that it was Archie. No matter that Beatrice's son is 3 and Archie is 5. Just old nonsense, crazy stuff. Or they'll say that that they're not even Megans, they don't exist, and all kinds of crazy stuff. And it says told to be removed from the line of succession. How many times have we heard these hags, these minions, these flying monkeys, all of them talk about how Archie and Lily should be taken from the line of succession because they don't exist. They're dolls. They're not Harry and Meghan's children. They are surrogates. They're adopted, and on and on. Had their existence questioned. I just said that had their mother's pregnancies swarm with ridiculous moon bump conspiracies, which that was one of the most dangerous ones because we all know it is a person who is presently on this app that was encouraging people to actually do damage to Megan's stomach because they didn't feel like, and still preaches it to this day, that Megan was pregnant and her stomach was a moon bump. Had full page articles written about them being paraded naked in the street while onlookers threw at them. I don't think, every time they try to drag out and talk about how bad Kate was treated compared to Megan, everybody get treated like that. Look at Camilla, how she was treated. All the royal wives are treated that way. Well, I'm gonna say this. I Number one, all the royal wives shouldn't be treated any kind of way. Why is this some rite of passage that anytime you marry into this institution, you have to go through a time period where you got to be treated like crap as a rite of passage. Everybody's treated that way. You remember when Harry said William and his father Charles was talking about our wives was treated like that. What make your wife so special? Like it's a rite of passage or something. So we'll say that. Then also, like I said, I don't think any of them should be treated in any kind of way just because you marry into an institution. But my point is this also. Now, Kate, I don't think they should have treated Kate like that. They don't. They shouldn't have. But Camilla's treatment was deserved. Camilla did what she did. And I don't think they treated her harshly enough. I don't think that they still do. Because this woman, we ain't gonna go into everything that this woman did, but y'all know what she did. And so I think that was justified. But even with all of that, what she had done, she still has not been treated like Megan, who has done nothing, absolutely nothing, but tried to contribute good to everybody. The whole time she was over there, she didn't do anything but do good. And her good works are still reaping benefits to that institution. And so that is the point. And I think this person made a great, great, great point. And they went on to say it. I'd like you to explain it to me like I am a 5-year-old. How legitimate criticism of a would be queen refusal to do even the most basic of tasks can be compared to the incessant onslaught of racism propaganda lobbed against one woman and her children for merely existing. I like to understand what the reason is for the incessant tweets defending the honor of a woman who can't even bring a can of beans to a food bank while questioning the professionalism of journalists who calls this BS out as a malfeasance that it is. And this person is saying she is a journalist and she's calling out this BS. but they want to call her it said questioning the professionalism. They question her professionalism of journalists who calls this BS out as the malfeasance that it is. And boy, has she been calling it out here on Twitter. On Twitter. I'm telling you. And it said, I'd like to know why your royal specialists engage trolls who have been charged with actual crimes of harassment while claiming the rest of us are inferior clickbait mongers while their entire existence is dependent upon nonstop vitriol against one woman who did nothing to any of them personally. Most of all, I would love to hear a reasonable explanation from you why it's okay for the palace to issue photos so doctored that the AP and Getty had to issue a kill order for the first time in decades, and thus proving to the world that the palace is a propaganda machine on par with North Korea and Russia, and therefore not to be trusted. And you still take their word over the word of an American woman who did nothing except marry one of your princes. And they treat the fact that Meghan married Prince Harry like she has committed a crime. If you see them on the panels and stuff, they have a vitriol hate towards her because they took Prince Harry, because she took Prince Harry. It's the most ridiculous thing that I have ever saw. But this person, she let them have it. She called it all out. And this person just said one or two words, but it seemed like she was saying, I got time today. I'm going to tell you everything. Everything. And I love that. Let's go on. And I'll tell you one other thing. It was a one squatty on X was saying that what really she feel really good about is the world press. A lot of the world press do not participate in this nonsense, in this bullying of Megan. And I agree with that. The majority of the world press only turns its attention to Megan when needed. Not unlike those rags over there who will create a situation. Megan can be in her house minding her business, and they'll absolutely create a narrative and then take that narrative, report on that narrative, it'll spread, and then they'll talk about that narrative that they created on panels. And Megan have yet to actually do anything. She hadn't left her house, but yet and still they have created this narrative, this create stories, create news. And Megan said that in the documentary, in the Harry and Meghan documentary, that they don't report the news, they create the news. But yes, that has been one saving grace. At one time, hold on, y'all. Okay, y'all, I had to go see about my dog. He wanted to interrupt the podcast. So let's get back to what we were talking about. Yeah, so at one time it had me a little concerned because they would create news over there and I would see it pop up on the Today Show or pop up on one of the entertainment TV shows over here. I know Murdoch owned Access Hollywood or something like that. He has his feet in a whole lot of stuff. Like he owns TMZ, he owns Page Six, he owns what is the other one he owns? Two Fab, he owns let's see, the New York Post. And so he has his grubby little fingers in a lot of our press. But it has not been, they have not been able to get a real foothold on the press, on the legitimate press, on the mainstream press. And if it's not a legitimate story, they do not report on it. And I love that. And I saw this, I'm going to put it up. It's from Cosmopolitan. And Cosmopolitan is basically saying what needs to be said. It said Meghan Markle connect with teen girls on being one of the most bullied people in the world. And they wrote a story about it. And they absolutely went into what is the deal, what's the problem. And they're kind of following on the same in the same vein of Glitter Magazine. And I hope this is something that really catches on, where magazines really don't fall for the okey doke and all this nonsense, and they actually report what the truth is. And they push back on all these old toadies and trolls and hags in their comments and not be afraid of them, because most of them are bots anyway. I am truly convinced that a lot of the viewership over on those hate channels are nothing but bots, or Kensington Palace and Buckingham Palaces bots. You cannot tell me these people are getting all these views over there and they can't push any kind of agenda, but yet and still, look at us squatties. We can really shift the agenda, one way or the other way. We absolutely can. And we don't get those kind of views. So that's what makes me really, really suspicious that that is for real. I'm just saying. So I really love that with Cosmopolitan. And I want to read a little bit of this. I found this, and it says the obsession with hating Meghan Markle. Let me blow it up a little bit because y'all know I can't see. It says, imagine being assumed by hate and prejudice that the mere sight of Meghan, and this is true. Megan, all Megan can do is to go to lunch, and if you go over there to them troll sites, to them old hag sites, and I hate to call them out, I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be a better person, but y'all know who I'm talking about, and it is plenty of them over there. And also we're gonna talk about how they fighting a little bit over there too. And the Barbados lady, they are fighting. It's a lot. They can't get along over there, but us squatties, we get along because we have one agenda and one goal, and that is to keep our foot on the neck of anybody who's trying to lie or discredit Harry and Meg. That's our agenda. If you doing that, we ain't got no problem with you. And so, but they are constantly fighting over there. I'm telling you, and I love it. I love it. And I got something on the guy, that's the woman, maybe the man, that's the boy, that's the girl, that's called himself a C, that's a D, that's EFG, lady C, D, F, G. That one. I got something to say about him later. I'm sorry, her, later. All right, it said obsession with hating Meghan Markle. Imagine being so consumed with hate and prejudice that the mere sight of Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, on the red carpet compels you furiously to type out vile tweets. You see a photograph of her smiling in a dress, and your fingers immediately rush to pound the keyboards, not to celebrate her charity work, not to applaud her resilience, but to hurtle racist, misogynistic slurs into the digital void. It's a shocking reflection of just how twisted and how sad this group of trolls have become. And they're getting sadder and even more twisted because why? They know they are losing. They can smell it just like we can smell victory. They can smell defeat. It says there is no logic in it. Megan could simply step out for a family dinner or a charity event an award ceremony, and the same toxic crowd swarms online, uh, armed with venom. Is it really Megan they hate, though, or is it just a convenient target for their long standing prejudice? We see this behavior too often. The same people, the same hashtag, the same disgusting slurs every time she steps outside of her home. And I believe it's jealousy. I really do. And this the sense of entitlement that somehow Harry belonged to them and he went with an other. And so that really somehow makes their jaws tight, as my grandmama used to say. Yeah, that makes them mad. Let's go on. It said for many of these trolls, Megan represents everything they cannot tolerate. A woman of color in the spotlight, marrying into a historically white royal family, standing on her own 2 feet. It is deeply disturbing obsession. Megan's success, her ability to rise above it all, sparks something primal in them. Their behavior follows a grim pattern bullies have used for centuries: isolate, shame, destroy. And that is the pretty much the pattern that or the plan that the royal family had for Megan. You remember how they said, be 50% of yourself, you everywhere, don't go anywhere, isolated her, with their behavior, especially within the in Kensington Palace. And then they tried to do everything to destroy her. So they definitely worked their plan of isolation, shame, and destroy. It said this kind of bullying is projection of their own failures. Where is the lie? Where is the lie? They're always ugly. They're always nasty. They're always jealous. These women are just I mean, if you wanted to describe a broken old hag of a human being, that's who they are. They're broken. Life has just absolutely chewed them up and spit them out, and they look as if it did exactly that. And they mad with Megan because of her lifestyle, how she looks, who she's married to, and her intelligence. They see that Megan has it all and they don't like it. Instead of saying, great, great, aspire to be as good as best that you can be, but they don't want to do that. And it says they say they didn't manage to shut her down. Well, let me go over, I want to read that again because that was so good. It says the kind of bullying is a projection of their own failures. They scream the loudest when they target refuse to break. I'm telling you, if I was in church, I would be shouting right now. It said every time Megan shows her face, looks composed and happy, it's another failure for them. They didn't manage to shut her down. Their anger intensifies because their bigoted fantasies of seeing her humiliated never comes to pass. Was more revealing than their words, however, is their sheer need to have to see her brought low. It's not about criticism, it's about control. I'm telling you, if I was in church, I would be shouting. I really will. Tell the truth, shame the devil. Tell the truth, shame the devil. That's what it's about. They want her broken. They want so they can feel better about themselves. Seeing Megan for some people makes them feel so bad about themselves. And I'll tell you one of them, and that's Bethany Frankel. She is the most miserable woman that I have ever saw in my whole life. And if you don't know who she is, she used to be one of the Real Housewives of New York. And all she does is walk around and run down women, not just women of color, women, period. She has a big, big problem with successful, beautiful women. She does. To the point where, we won't even go into what she was talking about with Kamala Harris. Yes, she has a problem. She really has a problem with women of color, successful, smart women of color. And she had a problem with Megan. At one time, she dated Megan's ex husband, and he put her on the road, made her get on down the road, and threw rocks at her and made her go. He threw rocks at her until she got into the distance and he could not see her no more. He was just throwing rocks. Get out of here. Get out of here. And she's still bitter about that. But tell me that he did a good thing. He did a good thing because it was all about clout chasing for her. She wanted to be able to say that she was with Meghan Markle's ex-husband. But it didn't take long for him to figure her out and put her on the road and run her all the way down the road, like I said, and threw rocks at her until he could not see her no more. That she had just disappeared into the distance. But yes, this is what this is all about. It is not about Megan, it's about them and their shortcomings and how Megan makes them feel. They are broken, ugly old hags whose dreams, hopes has not come true. And they look at Megan and say, why she deserved that? Why not? Why her, not me? Just broken, just inside, just broken. And so all they do is spew their hatred upon her, their jealousy, their bile. I'm just saying. But yeah, I love that. Now I want to talk about what Kate did. We're going to drag Kate a little bit. And I'm going to put this up. And it said, didn't William and Kate, well, let me read this first. This is out of the Instagram of the Prince and Princess of Wales, Kensington Royal. And they wrote, Baby Loss Awareness Week is such an important moment to support those who have experienced a devastating baby loss, sending love, strength, and hope to anyone affected. Wave of light. That's what she tweeted. And this particular squatty said this. Didn't William and Kate bully Meghan till she and Harry lost their unborn child? Their hypocrisy is sickening to me. I'm just saying. And they didn't do anything but drag Kate because of this. And my feelings is this. I believe this is Kate trolling Meghan because she is a mean girl. We have saw Kate be her nasty, nasty self. She is the one who put that story out that Meghan made her cry. Kate has done a lot of stuff. She's the one who, during the time that Harry and her husband's grandmother were dying, and they was on that walkabout, I almost called Kate something. See, I be censoring myself in my head. I keep telling y'all I really be censoring myself because if I really just let loose, it's just no telling what'll fly out of my mouth. But yeah, this is the same person who stepped to Meghan, bullied Meghan, and Meghan fell back. So you telling me somebody who has never, and when I say never, I want to emphasize, I want to just make it perfectly clear that she has never said anything about uh what is the name of it? National, is it Baby Loss Awareness Week? She never said nothing about Baby Loss of Awareness Week. Ever. ever. And all of a sudden, here she is with it. I think she thought it would kill two birds with one stone. One, the first one would be trolling and pretty much trying to poke at Megan about her loss, because in actuality, her and William contributed to that loss. They did. And also to try to make her look like she's an empathetic figure. And we all know she's not. Kate has always been about Kate, and it has not changed. And let's read what this squatter said. Kate's message feels like a calculated attempt to reposition the royal family as in touch with ordinary people, but it's impossible to forget how they turned their back on Megan when she needed compassion. Where's the lie? Knew Kate Middleton's tone deaf baby loss message. It said Middleton's message, which should have been about supporting others, feel instead like an attempt to whitewash the royal family's past cruelty. It as though she stepped into to reclaim the narrative, erasing Meghan's contributions in the process. This is especially insulting when you consider how the royals and the media weaponized Meghan's miscarriage against her. Y'all remember that when Meghan wrote that um, article in the New York Times, and they didn't do nothing but criticize and talk nonsense about it and deny that they played a part in it. And we all know who has two eyes and two ears. We heard every bit of it because for 8 years, full on, these people have done nothing but bully this woman. And when she had that court case with the Daily Mail about her father's, giving her letter to the Daily Mail, and Jason Knopf went to court by William's instruction to testify against her, to talk nonsense. That's when we found out about the email, that supposedly horrible email that was the most polite thing I had ever saw or heard. I'm just saying. And that's how what else did we learn from his testimony? Not very much. Just a bunch of nonsense. But they were absolutely grasping at straws because they did not want Megan to win that case. They rather for the Daily Mail to win it. That's why I said Harry better leave them folks alone. They mean him and his family no good whatsoever. Whatsoever. So let's finish reading this. It says, it says Megan's public grief was not only invalidated but turned into a spectacle for people to criticize. By ignoring that history, Kate gestures feels hollow, a performance rather than an act of genuine empathy. If this was truly about raising awareness and supporting those in pain, there would be some recognition of the trauma Megan endured at the hands of the very institution that Kate represents. Where is the lie? It said Kate Middleton's last entry into the conversation, which all the royal machinery backing her, is not an act of bravery. It is carefully crafted move to erase the courage of someone who was vilified for showing vulnerability. And if we don't see that for what it is, for what it is, we're letting the royal family off the hook yet again. Tell me the squatters are not coming for the next today. They are coming for the next today. They are. And I love it. I love it. Yeah, she gonna try to recognize the what is it? The baby loss awareness week. When she ever thought about the baby loss awareness week. But this was another ploy for her to try to endear herself, and I believe troll Megan. Y'all tell me what y'all think, but I think this is her trying to troll Megan. She's just that kind of mean girl. She'll use something that's such a deep and hurtful thing for somebody and try to twist it and use it against them because she is a viper. She is one of the scorpions in the dens. We can never forget that. I don't ever expect anything she does to be genuine, ever. She is a faker from, she wouldn't be able to survive in that family if she was not. I don't believe anything. I don't consider her ever being sincere once. She's not a sincere person. I'm just saying. Okay, and we're gonna put this up. It said Harry buried his unborn child. Thanks to Britain's royal crown critters, subservient cult subjects, and the British Royal Rodent Press. Murdoch's bully trying to destroy Harry. Where's the lie? It says sometimes we don't even realize how much loss Prince Harry has suffered at the hands of the British media. And they think he ever wants to go back. You've taken so much from him, and he is angry, and and so is see he is angry, and his anger is so justified. I hope he burns it all down. I hope his court case bankrupts the press. I do too. Out of two. We got that coming up in January. Hold on, I'm gonna play a soundbite. Okay, I'm gonna put a picture up of Spare, but this is what Harry said about losing his baby in Spare. All was well, we said, and yet Meg was still under loads of stress. There was a pressing issue with her legal case against the tabloids. The Mail was up to its usual tricks. Their first crack at offering a defense had been patently ridiculous. So now they were trying a new defense, which was even more ridiculous. They were arguing that they printed Meg's letter to her father because of a story in People magazine, which quoted a handful of Meg's friends, anonymously. The tabloids argued that Meg had orchestrated these quotes, used her friends as de facto spokespeople, and thus the Mail had every right to publish her letter to her father. More, they now wanted the names of Meg's previously anonymous friends read into the official court record, to destroy them. Meg was determined to do everything in her power to prevent that. She'd been staying up late, night after night, trying to work out how to save these people, and now, on our first morning in the new house, she reported abdominal pains and bleeding. Then she collapsed to the floor. We raced to the local hospital. When the doctor walked into the room, I didn't hear one word she said. I just watched her face, her body language. I already knew. We both did. There had been so much blood. Still, hearing the words was a blow. Meg grabbed me. I held her. We both wept. In my life, I've felt totally helpless. Only 4 times. In the back of the car while Mummy and Willie and I were being chased by Paps. In the Apache above Afghanistan, unable to get clearance to do my duty. At Notcott, where my pregnant wife was planning to take her life. And now, we left the hospital with our unborn child, a tiny package. We went to a place, a secret place only we knew. Under a spreading banyan tree, while Meg wept, I dug a hole with my hands and set the tiny package softly in the ground. Okay, I agree with this squatty. Harry and Meghan has gone through so much. And for this woman to talk about this week, talking about Lost Baby Week, is I think it's baby lost week for her to bring that up, to try to acknowledge that. I think it's her trolling. I'm just saying, y'all tell me what y'all think, but I think it's her trolling. I don't think that this woman knows how to be sincere. I'm just saying. And we have to be reminded all the stuff that Harry and Meghan lost. These people, Kate and William and Charles and Camilla, and their assault on them for no other reason that they were popular and they did well in Australia, is scandalous. All right, I'm gonna play another soundbite about how well they did in Australia. This is why that baby was lost. This is why they initiated the assault on them. Hold on, and we're gonna do another. I'm gonna put a picture up. Currently making her mark in Australia as the new Queen of Hearts. Now, on her first major overseas tour, she's proving to be extremely popular among Aussies, turning out to see the royals, leaving a sea of adoring fans in her wake. They're unconventionally affectionate and refreshingly informal. Incredible. Best feeling of my life. From day one, her warmth has won our hearts and minds. The term People's Princess is being used again, an honour that belonged to Harry's late mother, Princess Diana. In that same engaging way, Meghan has captured a nation's imagination for being so natural with her reactions. Her affectionate hug, her emotional smiles, and those laughs. They saw that. They saw that they were calling her the people's princess. Charles saw it, and we all know how he felt about Diana. And Kate and William saw it, and we all know the level of jealousy there. And they decided that they were going to destroy them. And um, they partnered with Murdoch, and they decided to do it. And this squatty said this: Kate played a big part in the abuse against Megan with her bully husband. Megan lost her baby, and not one member of that rotten family said nothing. How can she show empathy for others when she was part of the problem of her sister-in-law losing her baby? Where is the lie? And I want to play this other part. I want to play this. And let's remind each other when the bullying started. This started way before they got married. They enlisted her own father to try to stop the wedding. We all found out here recently that William went to the Queen to make sure that Meghan didn't wear any of Diana's jewelry. He was on a mission, he was on a tear to try to make sure his brother did not marry this extraordinary woman, to the point where they even enlisted her father, who sold her out like a Judith that he is, for seven, what is it, what was it, seven something of silver, 7 coins of silver. He did that. Him, oh, Caroline, what's her name, went down there. Oh, Caroline Graham, that old flying monkey. But I'm gonna play this, and I want y'all to listen to this. This was what her own father said on national TV in Australia. We're not making any of this up, that they tried to enlist people to stop the wedding. They did this. So that may have been one of the things that upset her. And of course, the photographs were a setup. I was set up by a guy named Jeff Rayner and another guy named Dylan Howard, who's He was just a part of it. He was just a part of it to mess up the wedding. This is who Harry and Meghan who has had to deal with since the beginning. I'm just saying. They are, and I'm gonna put this up. Hold on, I'm gonna put this up. It says, then Charles and Camilla colluded. I'm sorry. Charles and Camilla conclude. I cannot say that word today. Colluded with Murdoch to destroy Harry and Meghan. Now Charles and Camilla's trip to Australia looks to be an absolute disaster. Couldn't happen to nicer inbreds. I'm just saying. And also too, I want to talk about. I want to play one more thing, and this is gonna be real quick. You remember when William and Kate went up there to Southport, and they sit down with those first responders and everything like that. And I showed pictures of it. I'm gonna put one picture up here, and they were talking, and we never could get the sound. We finally got the sound of what I cannot think right now what Kate was saying. And Mumbles has not changed one bit. Since she has been gone, she has not changed one bit. I want to play that for y'all, and that's going to be the last because we got to get out of here. But I have to play Mumbles. I mean, you talk about word salad. Go and get the salad dressing because it is time to eat because she is serving up the word salad. Hold on. Families are so different individually too. They're managing it and processing this tragedy event in very different ways, but they're going to, yeah, I can't underestimate how brave they are. Half of them, 50. Did y'all understand anything she said? She absolutely mumbled her way right through that. This particular squatty said, there is no reason why she is not articulate. Her parents shoved her to the best schools near William and the palace and spent loads on her for appearance. This is the definition of word salad. It says no one will ever accuse her of being articulate nor eloquent. She gets too much in her head and she repeats herself, which is the end. Whatever she's trying to say, nothing makes sense. And yes, when those laughing images was captured, they were talking about the tragedy. You remember she was there just laughing and they was talking about the tragedy. That's the word salad. All right, y'all. It's time for me to put up. I didn't get to talk about the little infighting that's going on. I will pick that up next time. I'm gonna start doing that, just teasing stuff. Because the sea, that's the woman, that's the man, that's the woman, that's the man, the sea. It's a little fighting going on, and we gonna pick that up next time. I promise you, we will. All right, I'm gonna put up this picture of Kate. Y'all know that's my favorite picture of Kate because she mad because Megan has a word ethic. It burnt her life. I see in her soul. And also, we know what this one is. If you mess with Harry and Meghan, we will, us Sussex Squad will eat your face off. All right, y'all. Bye.